Hello, good night. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I am here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Go ahead and put your questions in the comments so that I may answer your questions. Tonight, I have a great topic to talk to you about, and that is 2 ways to fix your immigration status in the United States. Yes, that is possible. If you're here without status, there are ways to still go ahead and get permanent residence in the United States. I'm going to talk about, there are multiple ways. If you go to my Instagram, you will see I did a 6-part series detailing those ways, 6 of those ways that I can think of where you can fix your status in the United States. I'm going to talk about 2 major ways that that can be done. If you're currently here in the United States, and of course you qualify. Now, the first is the first option, and of course that's usually the option that is preferred by all individuals, if possible, is to stay in the United States and apply for permanent residence. And in that case, you would go through what's called the adjustment of status process. Now, certain individuals are able to apply for adjustment of status if, for example, you're the immediate relative of a US citizen and you came in with a visa, even if you overstayed, a permissible visa, by the way, because in some cases, if you came in with certain types of visas, they don't allow you to adjust status. For example, if you came in with the crewman's visa, that's usually the type of visa that you get to come into the United States as an airline crew member or as a cruise ship crew member. If you had that and you ended up overstaying, you don't qualify for adjustment of status and your options are more limited. And then also the J1, while it's still a possibility to overcome the restrictions on the J1, some J1s are subject to the 2-year foreign residency requirement. And in that case, you'd have to apply for a waiver to be able to overcome the restrictions, because the 2-year foreign residency requirement means that you have to go back home. So if you don't have those restrictions and you came in, for example, with a B2 visa, Miss Lady, hi, you came in with a B2 visa, then in that case, even if you overstayed, even if your stay has expired, but you're the immediate relative of a US citizen, adjustment of status may be possible. And let me also add here, it may be possible even if you've had, for example, if you've had an issue like an arrest, or you had some sort of other issue in your background that has rendered you inadmissible, like a past immigration violation, you can still apply for forgiveness while going through adjustment of status. Now, when I say if you are the immediate relative of a US citizen, you may qualify for this, I mean that you have to fit within 3 criteria. You have to be the spouse of a US citizen, you have to be the parent of a US citizen, and that US citizen is 21 or up, or you have to be the son or daughter of a US citizen who is under 21 and unmarried. And keep in mind again that you must have come into the country with permission. You were inspected at the border, but then even if you overstayed it, you may qualify. Thanks so much for the love. I appreciate that. Now, when you qualify for this, then adjustment of status could allow you to apply for a work permit, your travel document to enable you to travel if necessary, while you wait for your interview and your permanent residence. Now, I want to stop to remind you that I'm both on YouTube and on TikTok. So I'm here to bring this topic to you, but I'm also here to answer your immigration questions. I am usually here every night, with very few exceptions, of course, around 9 p.m. Eastern time. So you can always look for me. It's best to look out for me between 9 and 9:30, but the show is scheduled to start at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So go ahead, put your questions in the comments. I'm monitoring the comments. As soon as I see the questions come in, I am going to answer your questions. So how long does it take to be approved when my child sponsor me? My child is 21. So you could be looking at anywhere from 9 months to 18 months for that process. And keep in mind that that is shorter than the usual still. Now, your child is 21. They must also be a U.S. citizen to be able to qualify to apply for you. But in this case, it seems like you have applied already. So if that's the case, and you know, I take it you have checked all of that already. All right, keep putting those questions in the comments while I go through the topic that I'm talking about, and it is 2 ways to fix your immigration status in the United States. In some cases, it's through adjustment of status, and then I'm going to talk about the waiver process in very general terms. I'm going to pause again to answer questions. Hey, how long does it take to be approved when a parent applies for you, but you are over 21 and married? So 12 years, and that parent has to be a U.S. citizen. Green card holders can't apply for married children. So that parent would have to be a U.S. citizen. Can I cancel my interview, and is it going to affect me? So if you do it correctly, Kev, then if you cancel it, they will reschedule it. But you have to make sure you do this correctly. I'm not your attorney, so I can't give you any information to act on. However, usually on the notice, they will give you the number or the address to contact to be able to cancel. Now, in some situations, they actually want to get the reason. And if they don't think this is a valid reason, then they have the discretion to reject your request and go ahead and make a decision. So you want to make sure that you're careful with it, you follow all instructions, and you give them advance notice. If you have to cancel because of COVID, of course, that is a very justified reason, and they would actually appreciate your call. Can you get a green card on your own? Christian Black Girl, yes, that is a possibility. So there are a number of ways to do this. But keep in mind that when it comes on to self-petitioning, that's a process of applying for your own permanent residence, then you have to fit within a very, very specific criteria. So one, you have to make sure, for example, you have the extraordinary ability green card. That means that if you are at the top of your field, and you can show evidence that you are indeed at the top of your field and you have great things to offer in the United States, like you're going to come here and continue your work, then this could be for you. There's also the national interest waiver, and in some cases it could be religious. I notice you have Christian Black Girl. So in some cases, if you received a visa through your religious organization, you can also eventually apply for permanent residence. So it all depends on your circumstances. This is where the consultation is going to be very, very important. Now, Christian Black Girl, I don't want to simplify the process of getting the green card on your own, right? It is not just a situation where you want the green card, you can just apply for it on your own. You have to meet the specific criteria, whether it's through your employment, through your talent, through a family member, or even based on the mistreatment by certain family members. That those are some of the ways you can get it on your own. But you can't just want a green card and then apply for it individually. Oh, and also there is that lottery for the green card. So if you are the citizen of a country, I don't think Jamaica, I don't know if you are Jamaican, but Jamaica is not on that list for those of you who are Jamaican. But if you are the citizen of a country that where that's allowed to apply for the lottery for the green card, that could be a way for you to obtain it on your own. So, Abigail, it's nice to see you. My friend is planning to get married in February. Can she get her green card by December 22nd? So that's never a guarantee. Remember the process. If she's lucky, maybe, but remember the process right now is taking anywhere from 18 to 24 months. How long will it take for them to give me back a date? So you could be looking at a few months, like 3 months, but I can't guarantee, Kev, how long it's going to take. It really depends on the service center and when they can fit you back in because they are trying to get a lot of people rescheduled due to past cancellation. So it all depends. Let me ask in. Um, I'm a tourist visa can study for free. So no, it's very unlikely unless the institution offers you free tuition. But it's very unlikely that you'd be able to study on a tourist visa. There is what's called a student visa that you could apply for. But a visitor's visa is not for the purpose of studying in the United States. Seeing that you have to be here for a long period of time, you want to make sure that you do it right by getting a student visa. And so there is an application process for that. You usually have to go to the school, make sure that the school admits you to apply to the school. They admit you. The International Students Office will issue what's called an I-20. This is evidence that you've been accepted and that you qualify for the student visa. And then you take that and schedule your interview. And once you schedule your interview, you're going to have to show, of course, how you plan to support yourself in the United States while you're studying here, and that you still do have a temporary intent. So that in a nutshell is how you'd get the student visa. If you need further assistance, you can always call and schedule a consultation. What's the filing fee for spouse and 2 kids? So Queens for Life 85, that is a lot more detailed. And it really depends on how are you applying? Is it through adjustment of status? Is it through consular processing? And it really would take time for me to do that. I usually just make those calculations when I'm dealing with my own clients. I would be here for quite a while doing that here. So you can always schedule a consultation to see what process you qualify for. And then we could talk about the filing fees. So Amanda, well, and it's nice to see you here. I'm a citizen. How long will it take before my mom can apply for her citizenship? So you being a citizen isn't going to make your mom's process any faster. Your mom is looking at 5 years. So she can apply at the 4-year, 9-month mark. Miss Lady, so my net went off. I didn't hear your answer. Oh boy. I am far down from your answer. So how long does it take to be approved when my child sponsor me? So I said about 9 months to 18 months. You could expect that timeline. But keep in mind, it all depends on the service center, on your case, whether there are delays, whether you did it properly. So if, in that case, just make sure you schedule a consultation and get personal legal advice. So let us see here. Okay, so my brother got married and later found out his wife don't want to have kids, and so he went to elope, went to divorce. So if he gets divorced, that's a complex question, Hot Stepper. So if he gets divorced, it really depends on the circumstances involved. For example, if that spouse was mistreating him and was a U.S. citizen or a legal permanent resident, then there is what's called VAWA, and you could apply for that. And VAWA is Violence Against Women's Act, but it is a relief that's available to men as well. And if you have been divorced for less than 2 years, you could apply based on the mistreatment, but whether you qualify, it's going to really require a detailed evaluation. You can call, schedule a consultation, or tell your brother to, and I can talk him through it and then advise him on how he can move forward. If my stepdad files for a green card for me, how long does it take? I also have children in the USA. So Zahari, if you're now to qualify for permanent residence through your stepdad, he would have your parent and your stepdad would have had to get married before you turned 18. If you fit within that criteria, then you could qualify. If you're under 21 and unmarried, you're looking at 18 to 24 months. If you are 21 and over and unmarried, you're looking at 6 to 7 years. If you are married, it's taking 12 years. So no, Anthony Singh, I'm not a Canadian immigration attorney. I only deal with the US immigration law. I have an employment card that expires 1/1/2022. Are there provisions to stop my employer from terminating? So Omega, I don't know what your circumstances are, but generally there is, you would have to renew your work permit or your employment based permission. And that's going to depend on whether you can do that. It's going to depend on how you qualify for the benefit. That's where a consultation is going to be very important. So I wouldn't be able to answer your questions. And in this case, are there any provisions to stop the employer from terminating? That's more of an employment law question. As far as I'm aware, there's no provision in immigration law that's gonna, unless of course you are being discriminated against. But if you lose your permission to be employed on the 1st of January, then the employer does have the right to terminate on that basis, because they could get into some trouble there. I am an immigrant. Can my newborn have the child benefit? So if you have a US citizen newborn child, then that child may be entitled to benefits in the United States. You should check with any agency that is handing out those benefits. Just make sure you're upfront, you're honest, you don't claim US citizenship for yourself, just for your child that's already a US citizen, to be able to determine what your child qualifies for. How can I apply for an immigrant visa? Matthew Williams, through an employer. The employer usually has to file for you, through family members, through humanitarian means, through diversity lottery, through asylum. It all depends on how you qualify. How soon after marrying a citizen can you apply for citizenship? So if you maintain marriage with that spouse and to that US citizen spouse, and maintain the marriage for 3 years, you have permanent residence for 3 years, then you can apply in 2 years, 9 months. But at the time, they want to determine that you have done 2 of those, 3 years maintain marriage, 3 years been a permanent resident. Terminating my employment, I submitted renewal, but I have not received anything from USCIS to show. So Omega 50, you should have received a receipt notice, and that receipt notice should have the 180 days automatic renewal, but it depends on what your benefit is, what employment basis are you applying for in employment. But sometimes the receipt notice has that 6-month extension. But Omega, I wouldn't be able to advise you specifically unless I am your attorney and I understand what's going on in your case. If my stepdad files for me and my mom, how long will it take? I also have a baby in the US. So it depends. Sahari Mommy, I think I answered this question already. You'd first have to qualify as a stepchild. To qualify, they would have to get married before you turned 18. And then once we have determined you qualify, it's going to take, if you're under 21 and unmarried, it's taking about 18 months to 24 months. If you're 21 and over, it's taking 6 to 7 years. If you are married, it's taking 12 years. Can I apply for a visitor visa and diversity lottery at the same time? So that may be possible. It all depends on how the officer is going to look at your intent. So they're going to know, right? If you are applying for a visitor's visa, but at the same time you have a diversity lottery application pending, they could read it as immigrant intent, especially if you're showing that you can't show strong ties to your own country to convince them that you'll return. As undocumented parent, how can my child be eligible for a child tax benefit? So it's going to depend. Now, if you have an ITIN number, I believe that any kind of credits is limited in this case. If you're undocumented and you want to claim your child, there are limited benefits, and that's going to be a tax question, Alice, Tina, and it's a lot more complicated than that. You have to schedule a consultation or speak to a tax preparer who can talk to you about your rights and what you're entitled to. What we require to get the student visa. So Amanda, in this case, you have to be admitted to a university. They have to issue what's called an I-20, and then from there you schedule your appointment at the embassy by completing the application. Then you go, you have to prove that you will return and that you have the means to pay for university. If you need more specific advice about and assistance, representation to apply, you can always call. Anthony Singh, 12, my sister is a US citizen and sponsor me since 2013. How long would it take place? So it depends on what date they're currently applying, and I don't have that information in front of me. You can always go to the National Visa Bulletin and you will see the date that they're currently processing, and that's going to tell you approximately how long you have based on your priority date. All right, so go ahead. I am both on YouTube and I am on TikTok. I'm getting great questions on TikTok and I'm sharing it with those of you on YouTube. But keep in mind that on YouTube, you are free to put your questions in the comments and I will answer your questions as they come in. So keep putting those questions in the comments. My sister is a US citizen. Okay, so I answered that. All right, so I'm gonna quickly finish up on the topic, but as long as I'm here, you're free to keep putting your questions in. I've been talking about ways to fix your status if you're in the United States. I talked about the being the immediate relative of a US citizen, and the next one I want to talk about is VAWA. So if you have a US citizen or legal permanent resident spouse or parent who will experience extreme hardship, I'm sorry, that's a waiver. So if you have, I'm talking about VAWA right now. So if you have a US citizen or legal permanent resident spouse, a parent if you're under 21, under 25 in some cases, or a US citizen son or daughter, who is 21 and up, and those relatives are mistreating you, you may qualify for relief to apply for your own work permit and your own permanent residence. So you can always, if you are in a situation where you're being verbally, emotionally, financially abused, or even physically abused, you can always call, schedule a consultation, and we can talk about whether you qualify for this form of relief. This form of relief is available to individuals who came to the US with a visa, came without a visa. And then let's talk about the waiver. So what if you don't qualify for any of these, but you're here and you're without status? You can't apply while being here and you can't leave the country. What do you do? There is the waiver process. It's called the I-601A waiver. If you have a US citizen or legal permanent resident, spouse or parent who will experience extreme hardship without you, you would be able to apply to get forgiveness for your overstay. Once that's approved, you can stay in the US while it's being processed. Once it's approved, you can then travel to your home country after the interview is scheduled, attend the interview, and then come back and become a permanent resident upon landing. Now, the things that you have to be aware of is that unlawful presence, that means your overstay for over 180 days, has to be your only immigration violation. If you have other violations that render you inadmissible, this may not be the path for you, and then it's really going to be important for you to evaluate your other options. Please, how can I apply for my child because she don't have any benefits yet? So Alice, Tina, you will it depends on the state and the state laws. You'll have to consult with the office, like the Human Services Office, to determine how your child can qualify. In some cases, you can apply on behalf of your child. But remember that it differs from state to state, and so you want to get in touch with the officer or with an attorney that specializes in children's rights or child benefits or public benefits. All right, so I'm going to head on over to Instagram, where I have a live scheduled every night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. So if you don't see me on TikTok, you know where else to look for me at 9:30 on Instagram or on Facebook. So I'll be moving from YouTube to Facebook and then also from TikTok to Instagram. The good thing about Instagram is I release a lot more than lives every night. I also do videos throughout the day, pictures, images, a lot more information that you can read about that can be helpful to you. So you can always go to Instagram, follow me there, and watch out for those videos, tips, updates, entertaining, informative videos. And then join me at 9:30 Eastern time on Instagram or on Facebook. On Facebook, I'm ST Law Office. On Instagram, I'm The Immigration Attorney. Same here as here on TikTok and on YouTube. All right. So thanks so much, everyone, for your questions. Thanks for Shaky Fab for sharing the live. I appreciate it. Have a great night, and I will be seeing you throughout the holiday weekend. So this is not the last you'll see of me. Save up your questions, hop on, ask me your questions, and you can always schedule a consultation even during the holiday weekend. You can click on the link and on the sites. So on TikTok, you can go to the link in my profile, and you can schedule your own consultations even while we're out of office. We're going to be out of office from tomorrow until Sunday. But during that time, you can still call, you can still leave messages for us, you can still visit the website and schedule your own consultation. Have a great night, everyone. I will see you